Next, we want to go into the quantitative study. Remember, 2 quantitative studies. The first was with Charities, Bingo Halls, service providers. And the methodology here, we did an online survey basically in December. This is the one that all of you would have received. 361 responses, 24% response rate, which is great. We had a quota of 200, which is what we were hoping to get, and we got almost twice that much. Here's the makeup of the respondents. 90% were from a charitable organization, 3% were from bingo halls, and 1% were service providers. And I think that just kind of lines up with the sample in the community that's out there. So when we talk about the bingo halls and the service providers, we're talking about some pretty small numbers. But some of the overall conclusions and insights here. I've pulled some slides in both of these studies to kind of highlight and support some of the data points that I want to cover. And I can't possibly do all of them, so if you have any questions, just make notes, and I'm sure I've got it here in a slide somewhere that maybe we can talk about later. But in the quantitative study, what we found is that the spectrum of bingo operations in Colorado is very wide. There's everything from small, one-time annual operations in rural towns to larger, ongoing operations in urban areas. Very broad level of sophistication in operations that's commensurate with the size. The intrinsic issues with bingo, the aging player base, the declining volunteer support, have been exacerbated by the extrinsic issues like the economy. And this has led to the declining net proceeds and attrition. Qualitatively, from this study, part of the study, as you all know, there were a lot of open-ended questions and you wrote in a lot of things. Qualitatively, the larger bingo halls seem to have a lot of power over charitable operators. And again, I want to stress, I am not picking on bingo halls. I'm telling you what people are saying. There seems to be this tension between the charitable operators who feel imposed upon by the halls to which they are dependent. But on the flip side, in defense of the bingo halls, they're sitting there telling me, hey, you know what, I sure wish some of these organizations would be a little more professional in their operating practice and customer service. So what this to me means, in the recommendation you'll see it, is a failure to communicate. Okay, so I'm going to suggest a solution to that problem. So first let's look at the operator perspective. The question here was, how strong of an impact has each of these had on your overall bingo fundraising activities? Impact on net proceeds. Current economic conditions. Number 2, willingness of persons to volunteer to help with bingo. Those are two huge issues from that slide. And I'm not going to talk about everything on the slide because I just don't have time. The next, on success factors. Again, operators. In your experience, what are the factors that contribute the most to the success of your bingo fundraising activities? Number 1, customer service. What did I just say? I said bingo halls are sitting there saying, hey, you know what, we sure wish we had better customer service sometime from some of our charities. Established player base. Volunteers comes in here again. Sessions, variety, interesting interest games. But the whole volunteer burnout issue is a huge issue. Then we asked operators, okay, what are some of the barriers to success? What are the factors that limit the success of your bingo fundraising activities? Not attracting enough players. There's that marketing thing again. The bad economy, volunteer issue. Cost, rent, supplies. There's that issue again. People talked a lot about costs of supplies are going up, but revenue is flat. So there's a margin compression going on there. Another thing that's here that's important that I just want to highlight, people talked about insufficient advertising, and that could be by the halls, the charities, or whomever. Then we asked operators that stopped doing bingo. Okay, so these are people that don't do bingo anymore. I didn't explain that at the beginning. Current operators and those that lapse, so those that don't do it anymore. So we've got both of those people covered in the study. So why they terminated? Lack of volunteer support, number 1 issue. Declining net proceeds, flat revenue, increasing costs, economic downturn, lack of player interest. And I'm not picking on the state guys, but this comes up a lot. And like I said, I compliment them on doing this in this study because this is an important factor, and we have some really good ideas to talk about there. Greg, how am I doing on time? A little bit faster, okay. Suggestions for potential improvements. These are from the lapsed operators, okay, those that are no longer conducting bingo. First one, ease or change the regulatory requirements. Number two, wouldn't it be great if we could pay some workers? Number three, maybe we could sell some more electronic games, increase the number of faces allowed on electronic bingo and so forth. So these are operators that stopped doing bingo. We said, what would you do, or what would you tell us to do differently? Now the bingo halls, I said that I don't have enough to put up a lot of numbers here, but I can tell you, because I had 12 responses in the bingo hall area, but we asked them a question. Based on your observations, what are the best practices of your clients who are most successful with bingo fundraising? Good prices, customer service, foster a fun environment, volunteer workers that interact with the people, good, likable, effective callers. I'm seeing a lot of themes here. Are you guys seeing the themes? This comes together for me quite nicely. Well-trained volunteers to provide great customer service, and so forth. We also asked bingo hall owners, based on your observations, what do organizations need to do better to improve their fundraising? This is a huge slide for me, okay? This is the bingo hall owners telling us, charities can do a better job in customer service, run more like a business, okay, and get the training to do so. Advertise more, groom game managers, customer service again, sell more event-style pull tabs, different games, and those types of things. So these are some things that the bingo hall owners are telling us. All right.